Hello, Scrufftords, and well, all you other weirdos. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And as always, we're gonna take a look at Kursk, and because it appears as if the front lines are stabilizing, or I picked that up on Mighty Twix, seeing a comment that that was the case, that the front lines appears to be stabilizing. Right, ISW map. I've been waiting a bit for until I did this update. I wanted to see where things were going, and I actually saw on my Twix feed. Was it today? I think it was this morning. Suryak maps, the pro-Russian mapper, just popped up for no reason. I don't follow him on Twix, but Twix is what I call X on Twitter, by the way. Twix. And he said in that post that the lines were stabilizing, Ukraine were beginning to contain the Russians, and things were quieting down, as well as Ukraine pushing in reinforcements into Kursk, which I found interesting. I mean, that indicates that Ukraine wants to have this presence in Russia for all the reasons I've mentioned before. They want to force more Russians into this region, force more Russians to fight in Russia. So they want to move the fighting away from Kursk, or away from Ukraine, I should say, into Kursk, right? Moving the war from Ukraine to Russia. So that's why Ukraine is doubling down here. Uh, but anyway, yeah, I've been waiting a couple of days, and what have we seen so far? We've seen that Russia made that move, that bold move, maneuver warfare, armored push along the highway down here to this important intersection that we've been talking about for a couple of months. I was right, they wanted that intersection, and they have since then secured the woods and windbreaks south of the highway. And if we take a look at all mappers, it does appear as if Russia has indeed secured the town of Yubamovka as well. The orange here, this is claimed Russian advances. This claim here, this is not unbelievable. Russian claims are a bit dubious at best. I mean, it's kind of 50-50 if it's bullshit or not. This one here, for instance, we have reports from Ukraine that they pushed Russia out of this area a couple of days ago. So what I don't know, it is what it is. But this is west, I should say, of River Snagos, and it's not unlikely that Russia has made this push. It's fairly uh, believable that Russia has managed to make this push, but it's claimed, nothing confirmed yet. Same thing over here. Everything indicates that Ukraine still has a presence in Glushkovo, and which again, Russian claims are dubious. It's 50-50. Is it bullshit or isn't it? This appears to be pretty much bullshit. But we're gonna take a look at what the other mappers are saying as well. So this is ISW. Let's jump on over to Andrew Perpetua. And this is updated about 30 minutes ago as I'm making the video. The map for the 16th. And as you can see, we have Russia pushing down here towards Glushkovo, not Glushkovo, Kremanoye. This has probably been in Russian hands for a couple of weeks already. They have been contesting that town for a long time. Here you can see contested area. This is probably under Russian control. And let's take a look over here. Veseloye and Glushkovo. As you see, Andrew and the other mappers, they have updated Russian moves and maneuvers and gains over here, but they haven't made any significant updates over here, or changes on the front line, I should say, which should be an indication that Ukraine still has a presence here at Veseloye. He has also updated Russian assaults and Russian destroyed vehicles here in this area. So this is most definitely a point of contact, and has been for a couple of days. He has this area here as contested. I mean, this windbreak here is where Russia executed 9 POWs, but this is a wide open field, as I will show you later on. So I'm kind of curious, if they are contesting this entire area, does that mean they have a presence down here? And how likely is that in that case? Because it's a wide open area for Russia to cross in order to hold that windbreak. Noel reports as you can see, has Russian gains, where Russia is pushing in, forcing Ukraine back in the area. And again, Glushkovo, Veseloy, nothing. So the pro-Ukrainians, they are admitting that over here we're seeing Russian progress, without a doubt, but they aren't showing the same thing over here, right? Russian claims are dubious. Deep State, same thing here. Russia pushes in according to Deep State all over the place. Deep State acknowledges that Russia has made some gains at Veseloye. Okay, everyone repeat after me. This goddamn headset. Right? Moving on. Made some claims here, but contesting a large piece of territory nonetheless. So, these Russian claims, damn it. I mean, it could be intentional that they want to confuse the enemy by handing out, haha, we're over here, and that makes it frontline troops check out the internet on their phones and go, oh no, they were surrounded, when they in fact are not, you know? But it's frustrating. And as I understand it, even Russian mill bloggers are frustrated by it because they're like, no, we can't map out where the Russians are. It's frustrating. So it might be intentional from the Russians. It's not just that they are exaggerating to gain political points within the officer system. It might actually have a tactical, operational, strategical. There might be a tactical, operational, strategical reason behind it. But it goes on. Mayakovsk. No, this is the Ukraine control map. Again, Ukrainian presence and Russian advances pushing Ukrainian control back. You have a lot of contested territory. Who have we here? Mayakovsk 73. Again, Russian advances. They're contesting the outer regions here. And you have a Ukrainian presence over at Veseloye. And here we have the Blackbird group using scribble maps, just as I'm doing with my map. Presence at Glushkovo, and they are acknowledging we have Russian advances. It appears here that we have a big Russian push going on down over here. But yeah, but now, we've seen all that. Now take a look at Syriac maps, right? This is a pro-Russian source. Glushkovo, Veseloye. The Ukrainians have, oh no, here we have some Ukrainian presence apparently. How gracious. Anyway, I mean, so, yeah, I don't know, pro-Russian sources, dubious, let's put it that way. And they, of course, according to him, have taken all of this territory, even if everyone else says that, no, Ukraine is still operating in this area here. So that's that. But with all that said, I have a map. So my map is by no means to be considered credible or should be used as a reliable source. It's my own map that I'm making for fun, and I take a look at what all those other mappers are saying, and I kind of try and guesstimate what the reality is on the ground and where both sides can find cover and where they can actually defend and hold territory. So let's start down here. Remember, this is the windbreak where Russia killed 9 Ukrainian POWs. And as you can see, it's a wide open field. This is the field that Andrew Perpetua had as contested. If Russia has a presence down here, that means they have to run the gauntlet across here every time they want to reinforce this region. And I mean, Ukraine, they're right here. Can Russia really hold on to this area and contest all of this? Does that mean they have made it across and are in these windbreaks as well? Maybe. I mean, that's a possibility that all of this is contested, with Russians operating in the windbreaks here along the edges. Russia is claiming that they're up in this area here. Here you have the Snagos River, right? It's not unthinkable that they made it all the way up here by now, considering their successes in Yobemovka, because then they have access to these crossing points here. You have road going across, Darino. Nah, doesn't seem as if they have made it across at Darino. But if they can get across here, then they can also access this area. Personally, I think Russia has probably been kicked out of this area here, and this area is uncontrollable because of the field, and Ukraine has probably pushed back in here, would be my guess. But Russia has managed to, after they pushed down this highway here and reached Zelenyi Shliak, they have gradually pushed in and secured all of the territory here. You can see how I've mapped out where you can defend and hold territory, forests and windbreaks. Wide open fields cannot be defended or held, so I leave those open. This is where you have to, YOLO it and shout out Leroy Jenkins as you're trying to move across an assault territory. So that is why you see these gaps. And but this is where Russia has secured territory, and they have, by all accounts, moved into Yubimovka, moved along the street here, securing the forests and the buildings, and managed to link up with Zelenyi Shliak via this small valley here. And a big point of contact is this town, Novoivanovka. Russia claims to have pushed in this far, and Ukraine claims they have retaken the town. So this is probably the main battlefield right now in Kursk, this town here. You saw on Syriac maps that the Russian claims to have pushed out Ukrainians out of this territory. All the pro-Ukrainian mappers clearly show that Ukraine still has a presence here, which seems not unreasonable, but that territory here is difficult to defend, or rather to support. Defending it is not that difficult. You have towns, you have forests, rivers. This is a good place to defend, which suggests that Ukraine is in fact still holding on. But here's the kicker. This is where they can bring in supplies. This wide open field here, and this stretch of cover here. And they can also try and move around over here, but that brings them really close to the Russians, right? There may be variations in elevation in the terrain that they can utilize, but it's still open fields, muddy fields, difficult terrain. Even if it's farmland, it's still difficult due to the mud. And you dig in with the tracks and wheels and what have you. And it's open fields, hunting grounds for drones. So, as you can imagine, holding on here is difficult because of the supply issue. That is why Russia wanted to go down this highway and grab that intersection at Zelenyi Shliak, because this is where supplies can be brought in from the south and from the east to this region. And holding here now makes it difficult for Ukraine to hold on up here. So over time, I expect Ukraine to fall back from this area, but it has not happened yet because it is a good territory to defend. So they can hold out a fair bit longer because of that. So that's this situation we have over here. Russian gains. Russia pushed down into this forest, and which means they stand a excellent chance of, I believe, is this a ridge or is this a valley? Let's see here if we can get some topography. 200, 200. So this seems to be 200, 200, a ridge, and the valley goes down here. Okay, so they want to push up on the ridge by the looks of it. Okay. So ridge. So downward slope this way, right? So Russia has gone downhill, and now they need to go uphill along this ridge here. And as you can see, they're in a good spot. They can, this is, I wonder how far that is. Let's take a look. If we, hang on. From here to here, we have roughly 3 kilometers, right? So, whoop, need to shift that one. Here we go. So roughly 3 kilometers, 2 miles, basically. Roughly 2 miles. That's not far. This is a dangerous situation for the Ukrainians as well. As you can see, wide open fields. I mean, the only place where they cover is over here, and that is basically most of it is a lake. So the only way in is through these open fields, and if Russia gains access to the woods here and can potentially over here as well, I mean, how does Ukraine bring in supplies to support this section of the front line? So Russia is slowly grinding away here as well as here, and this goddamn headset. Anyway, I'm saving up for another one at some point. Anyway, so that's the situation, right? These two prongs will eventually fall back because Russia is, slowly gaining territory at the vital locations that can cut these regions off from supply. Blackbird Group, they claimed it was over here that there was a big Russian push going on for the. Okay, what is the situation here? We have this valley here. This has been a hot spot for some time. Kamyshovka has been traded between Russia and Ukraine back and forth. We have conflicting reports. Some mappers show Ukrainian advance, some mappers show Russian advance, and these are the pro-Ukrainian mappers, by the way. They're, giving contradictory information. And now we have the Blackbird Group saying we have another Russian push, and that might take them down through this valley here. We'll see how that one plays out. Not much else beyond that over here. To take a look at Veseloye, we have Russian claims, and I think it's credible that they may have pushed down this far. Absolutely. This is sort of what we're seeing on the deep state map, this push into these fields here east of Veseloye. Plenty of mappers still have a Ukrainian presence in Ubikovka and Veseloye. And why have I listed this as neutral or uncontested or uncontrollable or whatever? That is because during the weekend last week, we saw a distinct shift from Ukraine up this way. Russian attacks in the area, Ukraine contesting this section, and we saw Russian destroyed vehicles in this village here, Kalinina, as well as right here outside of Wolfino. And I was toying around, what if Ukraine gains access here? And what does that mean? Well, that means with the attack here on Russian vehicles, that they isolate Wolfino and Krasnotabrisky, if this is a thing, which is theoretical at best at the moment. Very theoretical. But if, because we saw this Ukraine beginning this shift towards the west, then they would isolate Wolfino and Krasnotabrisky. As you can see, wide open fields. This is the road, and this, I mean, yes, it's a proper road, but I mean, wide open fields on the border with Ukraine. No, Russia is not using this for supplies. It's this road here. And Ukraine needs Krasnotabrisky and Wolfino so that they can bring in supplies, logistics, manpower. I've repeated this in every video. So, I mean, it makes sense if Ukraine shifted focus to grabbing these two towns to bring in all the resource they need to continue the fighting here. Could there be some truth to the Russian claims? Yes, absolutely. With Russia, I should say, with Russia advancing over here, Ukraine could have made the decision to abandon this campaign to bring those forces over here to reinforce, which could indicate that the Russian claims are true, that Ukraine made a tactical retreat to pull out of this area to reinforce the situation over here. But so far, pro-Ukrainians have updated Russian advances all over the place here, but not over here, which should indicate that Ukraine still has a presence in this area. I think that covers most of it. Oh yeah. I'm gonna make a prediction here. What Russia is after, and we're gonna go to the topography map for that one. Uh, they're fighting here in what was the town name? Ivanovo. I think this is my prediction. I think Russia is after this road here, and they want to reach this river here. And what's the town here? Malaya Lokna, I think. Let's jump back here for a moment. Malaya Lokna, yeah. So they want to go through Nova Ivanovka, Leonodova, Alexandria. Along this road here, utilize the windbreaks and the woods and what have you as cover to reach Malaya Lokna because the river and the bridges. Now, cut here, if they do that, Ukraine has to move all the way up here to find a good bridge to bring supplies into this area. And that is dangerously close to the front line. So I think Russia wants to push this way in order to isolate this entire region and force these Ukrainians to fall back or surrender, right? That is what I think. I'm calling it here and now. I'll probably regret it, but I'm calling it. They want to push along this highway to reach the river and reach that bridge and then push north to do the same to isolate this entire area. So that's it. Russia is advancing. Lots of claims that we don't really know if it's true or not yet. And well, a couple of weeks ago, I said that this would probably happen when they broke out of Snagos, that Russia would keep pushing in that area and would probably force Ukraine all the way back to that river. I said that a couple of weeks ago, if not a month or two ago even. So I think that's what Russia is trying, and with potentially North Koreans showing up and everything, I think we have to be prepared that that will happen. But according to Syriac map, Ukraine seems to be pushing in reinforcements into Kursk because they want to force more and more Russians into the area. They want to move the war from Ukraine into Russia, and they need to hold territory in Kursk to achieve that. So that is why I think Ukraine appears to be doubling down on this entire Kursk campaign. Anyway, enough of that. End of the video. Go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.